Imagine standing face to face with a man whose instincts are sharper than a lion's, whose strength rivals the wildest beasts, and whose code of honor is forged in blood. This isn't your typical superhero story. This is Kraven the Hunter, a 2024 film that promised to bring one of Spider-Man's most notorious adversaries to life in his very own origin story. But what happens when a film with so much potential faces the harsh scrutiny of both critics and fans? Let's unravel this tale, one thread at a time. From the moment Sony Pictures announced their plans to build a Spider-Man universe independent of Marvel Studios, fans were intrigued. Could they create compelling, standalone stories about Spider-Man's rogues gallery? After hits like Venom, they turned their attention to Kraven, the ultimate predator. A character deeply rooted in the wilderness and driven by a primal desire to hunt, Kraven seemed destined for a gripping, gritty narrative. The film stars Aaron Taylor Johnson as Sergei Kravinoff, the man who becomes Kraven. With a supporting cast that includes Ariana DeBose, Fred Hetchinger, Alessandro Nivola, Christopher Abbott, and the ever-commanding Russell Crowe, the talent was undeniable. Directed by J.C. Chandor and produced by Columbia Pictures in association with Marvel Entertainment, it was clear Sony had high hopes for this project. But as we'll see, bringing this character to the big screen was no simple task. The story begins with young Sergei Kravinoff and his half-brother Dmitri, thrust into a harsh, unforgiving world by their father Nikolai, a powerful and manipulative drug lord. After the tragic loss of their mother, Nikolai is determined to shape his sons into his successors. But during a hunting trip in Ghana, Sergei's life takes a turn that even he couldn't predict. He saves Dmitri from a ferocious lion, only to be gravely injured in the process. Just when it seems all hope is lost, a mysterious girl named Calypso appears, using a strange serum to heal him. She vanishes, leaving behind a tarot card as a clue. What happens next is where the story begins to transform. Much like Sergei himself, he discovers that the serum has given him heightened senses, incredible strength, and animalistic agility. But the real twist? His father reveals that he killed the lion Sergei, fought to teach his sons a cruel lesson. Disgusted and disillusioned, Sergei abandons his father and escapes to a sanctuary once owned by his late mother in Russia. Fast forward 16 years. Sergei, now known as Kraven, has become a vigilante, a man who hunts criminals with the same ferocity he once reserved for beasts. But when his estranged brother Dmitri is kidnapped by mercenaries, Kraven is drawn back into the dark, tangled web of his family's affairs. The reunion is anything but joyful. Nikolai, ever the cold strategist, refuses to pay Dmitri's ransom, leaving Kraven to take matters into his own hands. Enter Alexei Sitsevich, a man who has undergone experiments that transformed him into the Rhino, a hulking figure of brute force and raw power. Alexei is no ordinary kidnapper. He's on a mission to overthrow Nikolai's empire. Dmitri, initially the victim, begins to see Alexei's vision and considers turning against his own blood. This sets the stage for a series of confrontations that push Kraven to his physical and emotional limits. The action escalates when Kraven teams up with Calypso, now a lawyer with her own dark past. Together, they uncover layers of betrayal and manipulation. Alexei, meanwhile, gains a dangerous ally in the Foreigner, a hypnotic assassin with a penchant for psychological warfare. In one harrowing scene, Kraven is drugged with neurotoxin and nearly meets his end, only to be saved by Calypso in a moment that cements their fragile alliance. The climax unfolds in a chaotic battle of survival. Kraven orchestrates a buffalo stampede to trap Alexei, whose transformation into the Rhino gives him a terrifying edge. The fight is brutal and unrelenting, culminating in Kraven's victory, but not without cost. The emotional toll becomes evident as Kraven realizes that the true mastermind behind his pain was his father all along. Nikolai's manipulations drove every twist of the knife, every betrayal. In the end, Kraven ensures that Nikolai meets his demise in a poetic twist of fate, at the hands of a bear. But the final act doesn't offer solace. 1 year later, Dmitri, now fully embracing his father's empire and having gained shape-shifting abilities, confronts Kraven with a brutal truth. They are not so different. Despite Kraven's attempts to rise above his father's shadow, Dmitri sees him as just another hunter chasing his next prey. The film closes with Kraven donning a vest made from the skin of the lion his father killed, a chilling reminder of the past he can't escape. On the surface, Kraven the Hunter offers an action-packed, emotionally charged story about family, betrayal, and identity. But the film's reception tells a different story. Released on December 13, 2024, after years of delays, it grossed just $52.9 million on a budget of $110 to $130 million. Critics weren't kind, pointing to its uneven pacing, underdeveloped characters, and overcomplicated plot. For a film that set out to humanize one of Marvel's most complex villains, it struggled to resonate with audiences. Yet there's something undeniably ambitious about the movie. It doesn't shy away from exploring dark themes or portraying its protagonist as flawed and morally ambiguous. Aaron Taylor Johnson delivers a gripping performance, capturing Kraven's intensity and vulnerability. The stunning locations, shot across London, Iceland, and Glasgow, add a cinematic depth to the story. But ultimately, Kraven the Hunter feels like a missed opportunity. It aimed high, but stumbled under the weight of its ambition. For fans of Sony's Spider-Man universe, it raises an important question. How do you balance the larger-than-life nature of comic book characters with the grounded, gritty storytelling modern audiences crave? Perhaps Kraven's journey isn't over, and this film is just a stepping stone to something greater. So, is Kraven the Hunter a cinematic masterpiece or a cautionary tale? That's for you to decide. One thing's for sure, it's a story that won't be forgotten, even if it's for reasons Sony didn't expect.